What's it like being a stay-at-home dad? Fun, frightening, exciting, stressful, terrifying, rewarding, abusive, crazy, unexpected. Hey, welcome back again. My name is Joel Peckriff and welcome back to another episode of Review My Life. We're going to review my first year of being a stay-at-home dad. So in this video, we're gonna first go over when I actually became the dedicated stay-at-home parent, some of the struggles and tactics I used to kind of make sure my child, survived and is thriving both emotionally, physically, spiritually throughout my time. So let's get into it. One of the first things that I guess I experienced as being a stay-at-home dad is learning how to put your needs at the back end of priorities. Having a little kid, an infant, a baby, a toddler, sometimes you're hungry, you need to pee, you need to poop, you need to sleep, and all that stuff needs to, be put to a side, and you have to make sure they're fed first, make sure they're comfortable, make sure their needs are met, all before, you even eat or even wash your face, or like sometimes I'm not even fully dressed until like 1 o'clock in the day before I'm fully dressed, just because you need to learn to make sure you put their needs first, which is a good thing. It helps you be less selfish, and that's something I probably really need anyway, so I think that's a plus. The next thing I experienced as a stay-at-home dad is learning to deal with a lack of sleep. I'm a terrible human being when I'm not fed, and then when I'm not sleeping. And so just learning how to, either go with less sleep, or learning how to take power naps through the day. Power naps, those are miracles. Learn how to use your energy wisely throughout the day, because they're full of energy, and you need to be able to keep up with them. The third thing that I kind of like experience or want to talk about being a stay-at-home dad is going out. Now, typically, I'm not the biggest person to go out in the first place. And also, when I do go out, I typically get ready like relatively quickly. Like 5, 10, 15 minutes max, I'm ready and I could go about my destination. But when you have a kid, that 15, 10, 5 minutes takes half an hour, 2 hours sometimes. Like literally, you just have to plan way more ahead especially when you have appointments and stuff like that. Whenever you're going out with somewhere, or trying to go to church or wherever you're trying to go, make sure you add a couple, at least I would say at least an hour to how you normally get ready, because sometimes you have to make sure they're fed, make sure their diaper bag is packed. They may poop right when you're trying to go out the door, and you have to change them again. Also, they might not need to be soothed or calmed down. Some kids are easy to put in car seats. Some kids are not easy to put in car seats. So all that, also make sure you're adjusting your car seats. Make sure you just also, like when you're driving, you just want to be like extra cautious when you're driving too, because you have your kid in the car, so you probably want to drive a little slower than you normally do. So yeah, going out takes a lot more time. The next thing I want to talk about is traveling, which sounds similar to the last one, but I'm talking about like you're going across state lines, or you're going on a road trip, or going across the country, outside the country, sorry. Interestingly enough, even though it's during a pandemic, we actually did a lot of traveling with our newborn. Obviously, we have to travel for my wife's job, so we had to do a couple either cross country, or like 8-hour or 10-hour trips to. One was actually really close, to like a 2-hour trip to our next assignment. But on top of that, we've gone to New York way too many times this year. She went to Honduras, like I said, in December. She went again for her first birthday. I'll actually probably show you a little something here for that. We went to Denver. And we also went back to Tennessee to get her blessed. So a lot of airplanes. So and the thing with traveling, when she was younger, it was actually easier to travel with her. Some of the things you need to, I guess, watch out for if you're traveling with a young kid is their ears popping. A lot of times, when you go up in an airplane and your ear starts to pop, that could actually be really discomfortable for little kids, and they don't know like the mechanisms to rock your jaw or chew some gum or something to get it out. So watch out for that. I don't think our kid really had a problem with that, but if your kid does, one advice is to feed them on the way up as the plane's going or as the plane is descending. So we watched some videos and that seemed to help for some people. But as they get older, it actually gets harder. Like toddler years, when they become more autonomous, I guess, with their bodies, like they're able to move and they want to touch stuff. That's actually it gets a lot more tricky, because especially if you're going in a 2, 3 hour, 4 hour flight, they just can't sit still for that amount of time. So make sure you bring their favorite toys with them to keep them occupied. Maybe put some Cocomelon or something like that, because or try to time it so it's during their natural nap time, so they could sleep during the majority of if you could get them to sleep during the majority of the flight, then that would be perfect. Just make sure they're keep up with their vaccines, because like I said, their immune system is still growing and developing, especially if you're going international. We did a couple international trips. Actually, a couple times she did get sick when she come back. Nothing super severe. Just we went to the doctor, got some medication, she got better, but nothing super severe. And just be wary of the water or other food you're giving them that they're not used to. Just food in general, whether you're traveling or not, because you never know if your child has an allergy towards something. So just be mindful for that. But we actually took her to the beach. She loves water, really loves water. So she's always there playing, having a good time in the water. But yeah, traveling with kid is possible, and it actually can be fun, but just make sure you mentally plan for it. Food. Feeding has actually been one of the more interesting, and I want to say interesting in a fun way, aspects of being a stay-at-home dad. Seeing what she likes, what she doesn't like. When they're little, most times, at least in my experience, she's less picky. But as she goes older and you introduce her to new stuff, she would not eat this or not like that. She used to really, really like bananas. She still eats them, but it's she doesn't have the same level as excitement, and that is something that you do notice, them getting excited more over one food over another. We were advised by our pediatrician to introduce one food per week, and the reason for that is if they develop allergies, because you're introducing one food per week, you kind of it's easier to kind of reverse, go back and say, oh, this is what we introduced this week, and she started getting this allergy this week. So you, instead of just introducing a bunch of foods and you have no idea which one of the foods you introduced is giving them the allergy, if that makes sense. So that was kind of fun. And now, if you give her something and she doesn't like it, she's just spitting it out. Is really funny. The next part about being a stay-at-home dad is probably one of the most important parts, and the part that's been on my mind the most as being a stay-at-home dad, is safety. These children, I swear, they go out of their way to put themselves in danger. I remember on her 6-month birthday, so to speak, she had a whole, there was a little crown, because we were taking photos, that had little flowers around them, and she plucked off one of the flowers and fully in her mouth, just chewing on it. So I was our heart jumped so bad. I was oh my gosh, how did she get that? And they're so fast. They are so fast. You turn around for 2 seconds and they're into something that they're not supposed to. So it's actually been a little bit more difficult in our situation because we're traveling, and right now, what we've been doing is like short-term leases. So like every time we go to a new assignment, it's like, obviously you can see this is a different place than where I was shooting before. It's a different system, so we have to come up with different strategies and buy different things to make sure she's not getting into where she's supposed to. But one good thing that I've learned to do is teaching them no. Like, and you'll be surprised that they understand the word no pretty early. And you could actually teach them, no, you're not supposed to go there. Now, is it 100% foolproof? No, but by teaching them, no, you're not supposed to go there, over time, pretty much what you do when they're trying to go somewhere, you want to just hold them and just say the word no, and they start kicking, crying, screaming. Make sure, be gentle with them. You're not like trying to crush their foot or something, but just hold their foot or something. It's like no, and eventually they'll give up. And if you keep doing that a couple of times, it could get to the point where if you just say the word no, they'll stop doing that thing, or they might start crying without you having to physically hold them. And then depending on the child and what it is they're trying to do, you can get to the point where they say no and they just run back to you. So that's worked with some things, but with other things, like first, right now she's started learning how to climb. And like no matter what we do, she insists she has to climb on something unless you like literally physically remove her. So I would say that the two biggest things for like safety is, obviously you want to make the house as safe as possible, like physically, with either locks or moving certain things or putting away certain things. And next thing is just getting them in the habit of understanding, like, no, don't touch, and saying the word no. And the other part of safety that a lot of people don't really talk about is just the stuff you actually use in your house. We've kind of switched. We kind of started doing that before she was born, but we've been more intentional about it, but using more organic cleaners and aerosols and stuff in the house, because naturally those chemicals tend to linger around and become airborne, and it just creates a more healthy environment for your kid. We kind of touched on it before, but like also discipline was another interesting thing. Being a stay-at-home dad, I'm officially the disciplinarian of the house. Like when I would try to be more stricter with her, my wife's like, no, let her be. She's just a child. She doesn't know what she's doing. But it could be an area for contention for some couples. With me and wife, I don't think it's that bad. It's just, for me, it's just like this playful back and forth we do. But I think it's good that she has both. Somebody that's more like liberal, I guess, in the disciplinary side, and someone that's most strict. I think it's beneficial that a child has both of those things. I think if you're too strict on a child, then they're more likely to become more rebellious later on. And then if you're just too free, then the child lacks discipline. But we try to obviously, or the goal is, I guess for me, is to get her to, be respectful of her surroundings, kind of know her own strength, because she's moving a lot more now, walking, crawling, climbing. You can't step on somebody's face, or you can't just shove your finger in someone's eye or something like that. So my philosophy is you want to start teaching those things as soon as they're ready to learn it, if that makes sense. And like I said, every child is different. They understand a lot more than you think. So as she gets older, you want to make sure they become more polite and say thank you, and just have manners and stuff like that. So yeah, this is what it's like being a stay-at-home dad. Later on in the channel, we may get into some more specific things about, being a stay-at-home dad, and specific tips about different toys and different products and stuff like that we used, and sleep rhythms and all that stuff that are planning for that channel. So please stay tuned. Make sure to like and subscribe for that. Thank you again for staying tuned to Review My Life. See you guys on the next one.